Thank you so much. I would like to invite our Chancellor, Dr. Paul Beran, to come to the podium now. Dr. Beran is now in his 9th year of leading UAFS. You know that he's a strong advocate for this institution, locally, at the state level, and even internationally. He works hard to give back to the community as well. He serves on the Boy Scouts of America Board and was formerly the president of the West Stark Council of the Boy Scouts. He serves on the Fort Chaffee Redevelopment Authority Board, the University Rotary Club, and the Greater Fort Smith Chamber of Commerce Board, among others. Our Chancellor, Dr. Paul Beran.
Good evening. Appreciate that, Dr. Lackie, your kind introduction, and I want to welcome everyone to the 2014 Scholarship Banquet. Once a year, we bring together donors and our scholarship recipients to meet. It's also an opportunity to recognize the generosity of our philanthropists and the gratitude of our students. I can tell you this is one of my favorite events of the entire year because there's few events where it's all good, where you have recipients who are making something of themselves because of the help that those of you who are donors in the audience are helping them to get to where they want to be. You know, what's better than that? When I was 19, I read a book called Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance by Robert Persick. Since then, I've read that book at, I don't know, half a dozen different times at different points in my life. The theme of the book is not really about Zen, although flashbacks chronicle the author studying ancient Eastern Zen mysticism. And it's not really about motorcycles or motorcycle maintenance, although it does chronicle a life-changing trip that the author and his son made. The story told in the book is a reflection on the search for quality that the author made in his life. It's a mystical, intellectual, psychological, physical, and ultimately spiritual quest. One quote from the book says, "The place to improve the world is first in one's heart and head and hands, and then work outward from there." Think about it. Heart, head, hands. How do we become a whole without an amalgamation of those three parts of us? You know, granted, at a university, the head and its need for knowing often takes precedence and sometimes trumps the other parts of the Trinity. But our heart, indeed our soul, and our heart's inherent way of knowing resides outside of knowledge. Our heart holds not what we know, but what we believe, and that we have our own path to a spiritual life. But what good are our head and heart without hands, without practical application, and without the ability to help others and the world? Hands must literally and figuratively hold tools that lead to action, to doing. It takes all three, heart, head, and hands, for wholeness of being. It takes all three to make quality an integral part of one's life. When I think of those three components, I think of people like you, the donors here tonight. Those of you who have so generously helped the students, many of whom are sitting at your tables. Your hearts are open to others. Your heads recognize the importance of education. Your hands carry the gifts of opportunity our students receive. To all those giving people here tonight, let me say, on behalf of all of our scholarship recipients, thank you. Thank you for choosing to give and to positively impact our students' lives. Students, you receive these gifts with open hands and thankful hearts. You then learn. You learn in the classrooms and labs. You learn from your internships. You learn from interactions with each other. And these generous benefactors sitting with you right now have helped you. Their head and heart have resulted in them handing you opportunity. In time, it will be your turn to open your hands to give to the next generation. So it becomes a cycle of gratitude for education. for knowledge, for skills that causes hands to open to assist others to rise. It's the cycle that creates quality in our lives. Thank you to all you donors for reaching out to help our students to rise. To the student recipients, continue to be worthy of such trust. Look around you at these donors, at the university's faculty and staff. They expect you to succeed. I could give you a flowery epitaph about all of us being behind you, but those of you who know me don't know that that's not the message that I send out. The message I send out is one of self-sufficiency. The message that I send out is one that makes you responsible. In the real world, no one gets trophies for participation. No one walks across the dais on graduation day to celebrate participation in classes. You will walk across the dais to celebrate completion. You are expected to take responsibility and not squander the opportunity that these generous benefactors have given you. Remember this as you study for your degree. Remember this when you feel like giving up. Some of you out here will recognize my next statement and are probably already saying it in your head. Everything is a test. Going to class, making good grades, living a life with purpose. This is the test that each of you have. Arkansas has a ways to go educationally as a state. Only 29% of working adults in Arkansas have a 2 or a 4-year degree, and the national average is 39%. And according to a report by the Georgetown University Center on Education and the Workforce, by the year 2018, 52% of Arkansas jobs will require some kind of education beyond high school. It's important for not only you, but also future generations to obtain your degrees. Your success now sets the stage of success for those behind you. You generous benefactors in the audience know the importance of education and know it doesn't just change a person or a family, it changes a community and a state and a nation. Now with our university's reach extending far beyond Fort Smith throughout western Arkansas, the rest of the state, and in fact even the world, we're helping to change communities and countries near and far. That's one of the reasons Fort Smith residents started Fort Smith Junior College in 1928. They knew that an investment in education undergirds a community, that education strengthens and protects a community from poverty, from ignorance, and lack of opportunities. They knew education isn't just for the elite or the wealthy. Education is for all and benefits all. The most important lesson for students with scholarships, those of you who are here tonight, is that these generous benefactors sitting at these tables here tonight have given to scholarships to make sure that education is available to all. To the donors, I want to thank you for investing in and thus positively changing the lives of our students, their families, and their communities. Without your help, without your giving hands, many of our students could not afford to attend college. They would face much different futures. Not just with the loss of income over a lifetime because they failed to have a degree, but think about what a degree does in terms of providing opportunity for thought, opportunity for action. The potential that a degree creates, that education creates. You may have heard about some of those dreams tonight that students have sitting at your table. As you talked at your table, I hope that you heard some stories about some of these students' dreams. I hear about these dreams from students almost every day. And when I sit in my office and I look out on the green and I look and watch students go into class, and I think about oftentimes, the dreams of each one of those students walking to class, going somewhere, thinking, headed someplace. I also hear how your gifts through scholarships open gates to paths that these students may have found closed. Harrison, Arkansas native Tasha Hurd dreamed of being a dental hygienist. She said that without my scholarships, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have confidence in myself. I wouldn't have the future I have. Yesterday, I received an email from Hannah Valley, who played volleyball here 5 years ago. Her eligibility ran out her senior year, but the foundation was able to find a scholarship for her to finish her degree in biology. Her email to me said, "I could not have made it where I am now without your help. I defended my PhD dissertation in molecular genetics and developmental biology last week at the University of Pittsburgh and could not be happier. I owe a lot of my success to the great biology department faculty at UAFS. Hannah Valley is now Dr. Valley, thanks to the support of scholarship dollars and, as she acknowledged, our great faculty. Others throughout this room could share the stories of how you are changing lives and helping them to achieve dreams. So again, I want to thank you. Thank you for combining your heart and head and opening your hands to work outward from your own life in scholarships to UAFS. By doing so, you have changed the course of lives, and who knows what all they will accomplish when they set forth in this world. Thank you very much, and I appreciate all of you being here, both students and donors, and appreciate the communion that we have here of knowledge, giving knowledge, and creating opportunity for knowledge that's represented in this room. It's always overwhelming to me, because it's what my job is all about. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Beran. A native of Vietnam, a domino player, and an Army National Guard member. Those are the students we're going to hear from tonight. They'll each be sharing with you how scholarships have impacted their lives. Tran will tell you about the differences between the Vietnamese and the American higher education systems and the opportunities she's had since she and her family moved to the U.S. about 5 years ago. She is a recipient of the Dr. Rick Martin and Alvin S. Tillis Memorial Scholarships. Kerbi Key had planned to avoid student loans by working and taking classes as much as she could afford semester by semester to finish her degree, and who knows how long it might have taken her. But that was changed because she received a scholarship. The Mona Fuller Alonzo Scholarship is the scholarship that changed that plan. New father, Daniel Balow, serves in the Army National Guard and has always wanted to be a mechanical engineer. Thanks to the help he received from donors like you, he feels a responsibility to return the favor. He's the recipient of the Sally McSpadden-Borum Academic and the Hawkins Weir Engineering Scholarships.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tran, and I'm the recipient of the Dr. Rick Martin Scholarship and the Alvin S. Tillis Memorial Scholarship. First of all, I would like to say how honored I am to receive these scholarships and how grateful I am to have you invested in my future. My family and I moved to Fort Smith 5 years ago after I just finished 8th grade and was about to take the high school entrance exam. Still really glad I got out of that. But in all seriousness though, I would like to use this opportunity to convey my gratitude and to tell you how my life in Vietnam has helped me become more appreciative of the gifts I've been given by you. Apart from the dreaded high school exam that I mentioned earlier, there's the college entrance exam that make every student sleepless. That's similar to the ACT and SAT we have here, but different in that they correlate to different career paths or specialties that students want to pursue. And each exam will give you the eligibility to apply to a specialized college, be it medicine, law, or liberal arts. And this takes away the luxury that we have here of exploring different career paths, different fields. And if you decide to change into another career, you will have to take another exam all over. all the while there's little to no financial aid offered. This brings me back to here to the US and to what I've been receiving specifically at UAFS. My parents, despite the language barrier, they were able to have a job to support us, and I'm really thankful for that. But they were worried about how my sister and I would be able to go to college with our limited fund. That was when I found out all about the financial aid offer here at UAFS and what I have to do to get them. And so now, as a biochemistry major and an aspiring doctor, I have not had to burden my parents financially with my education. And that's all thanks to the generous donors out there who have never even met me. Your philanthropy has expanded the opportunities to enhance my life and the life of so many people. Your support makes higher education possible, and that's the key to all the successes. So once again, I would like to say thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Good evening. My name is Kerbi Key, and I'm a math major here at the University of Arkansas Fort Smith. And as I was thinking about how I was going to express my gratitude up here tonight, I decided the best way would be to talk about where it all began. So I'm going to tell you about my story that some of my close friends don't even know about. My love for math began as a small child. My family was very poor, and I did not have a lot of opportunities growing up. I had to grow up fast, and I stressed about things I shouldn't have, like whether or not the electricity would be on when I got home from school. One thing I did have, though, was a supportive family. They tried to give me everything that they could, and even though it might not have been much, they always gave me the encouragement and support I needed to try my best in school. My dad would constantly sit me down and tell me how serious that school was, because if I did my absolute best, I could be somebody someday when I got older. From then on, I realized that my future was in my own hands. When I would finish school for the day, I would often go to my great-grandmother's house until my parents could come pick me up. We would sit at this little round table in her kitchen and play dominoes because that's about all she had to do there. However, it's one of my favorite pastimes. She would always encourage me while we were playing because she would say I was good at math. She would teach me how to look for different patterns and how to count up the points on each end of the domino. This is where my passion for math began, simply because she told me I was good at it. The enjoyment I got from dominoes was a small escape from reality. As years went on, it became my dream to be the first person in my family to graduate from college. Once I began to draw near the end of my high school career, I realized just how expensive college could be. I had done the best I could in high school. I kept good grades, but I still worried because I knew that there was no way possible that my parents could pay for me to go to college. When I found out about receiving an academic scholarship from my wonderful donor here at the University of Arkansas Fort Smith, I was speechless. It's like my dream was finally becoming a reality. So as I was thinking about how I was going to be able to accurately express my gratitude towards you all, I went back to square one with the dominoes. I Googled what a domino effect was online, and I found it defined as a situation in which one event causes a series of similar events to happen one after another. I like to think of you all as a domino. But not just any domino, the one at the beginning of a long chain reaction. You see, if it wasn't for people like you that were kind enough to support someone you may not even know, then there wouldn't be people like me to have the chance to further their education. I will proudly graduate college this spring semester, and I'll have the opportunity to teach and pour into students' lives starting next year. Because my scholarship donor chose to invest into my life, I will now be able to push over many more dominoes and make a difference in our community. This never would have been possible if it weren't for that one person who took a risk on me. I know I'm not the only grateful student in here. I know there are many more faces and there are many more stories in this room, and I will speak for all of them and say thank you for believing in us. We could not do this without you. Finally, I want to challenge every student in this room. We've been given the push that we need. It's now our job to go into the real world and make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you all for being here tonight. I would like to give a special thank you to each of the donors who have given so generously to the students of UA Fort Smith. Without your selfless gifts, many of the students in this room might not even be students this semester. I am one of them. My name is Daniel Balow. I'm a junior mechanical engineering major here at UAFS, a soldier in the Arkansas Army National Guard, and a father to a son who is 5 months old today. When my son was born, I was considering dropping out of school. I thought, how on earth am I going to financially provide for my family while paying for school as well? In the past, I would have just picked up another job, but things are different now. I have a son. I need to be there for him if I am going to expect him to become the man I know he can be. Thanks to the scholarships I received, not only is my school paid for, but I get to spend a couple hours each night with him before his bedtime. This giving has inspired me to become a future donor myself. Before, I couldn't help but wonder what would give a stranger the crazy idea to give support to some punk college kids to help them achieve their goals. But if you ask the donors here tonight, I have no doubt their answers would be because their passion for the education of young men and women in this room, and because their passion for the future of this country. Many would also say because they remember being in our shoes when they were in college. That being said, I want to issue a couple of challenges to the students here tonight. The first one is to pay it back. When things get tough, don't quit. When things seem hopeless, don't quit. Our education and our future meant enough to our donors that they chose to invest in us. We need to honor and respect that gift. So pay it back and don't quit. In the words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., if you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward. And here's something else to keep in mind. We are not meant to fight alone. Look at the students to your left and right. We are each other's teammates. Regardless of background, regardless of goals and majors, there is something that each person in this room can teach you, and there's something that you can teach each person in this room. Keep that in mind as you converse with your peers tonight. Make connections, share contact information, and stay in touch, because you never know when you may need their help. My second challenge for you is to pay it forward. Once establishing my career as an engineer, I plan to create a scholarship of my own through the UAFS Foundation. And I challenge each of you students tonight, remember your roots, remember where you came from, and remember to pay it forward. On behalf of all the students here tonight, I would like to issue one more thank you to all of our donors. We recognize the faith you must have in each of us to make the investments you have made into our lives. And we thank you for entrusting us to make the right decisions with that investment. I pray God continues to bless you so that you can continue to bless others. Thank you.
Thank you, V, Kerbi, and Daniel. Let's give them another round of applause. Shael McDonald came to UAFS after she'd been encouraged to do so by her former employer, local attorney Greg Smith. She dared to imagine changing her life, and she went for it, even though she's a lot older than a lot of the traditional students that we have on campus. She found that her classes challenged her and opened her eyes to what is possible. Now she plans to live a life without limits. The 2013 graduate with a degree in rhetoric and writing is daring to dream and explore different career paths. Here's Shael, who received the Charles and Nadine Baum and the Sally McSpadden-Borum academic scholarships, and she's going to tell us how attending UAFS with the help of generous givers changed her life.
I'd like to thank the UAFS Foundation office for allowing me the opportunity to speak with you tonight. I am honored. I'd also like to thank the donors of the Sally McSpadden-Bourne Scholarship, as well as the Charles and Nadine Baum Scholarship, whose funding provided me with hope and the ability to grasp many opportunities. Until age 38, I had never stepped foot on a college campus. That day in 2008 at UAFS was frightening. My first and seemingly impossible goal was to locate a parking space, which I did eventually find. In all seriousness though, I was scared. I grew up in a home where college was never spoken of. It was never even a consideration. As a matter of fact, I didn't graduate high school. I obtained my GED in 1990, and I didn't have any further educational aspirations or goals. Until tonight, only a handful of people knew this about me. While working at Pryor, Robertson, and Berry as a paralegal, several attorneys shockingly said I should go get my Juris Doctorate. I finally had to explain that I didn't even have a bachelor's degree. After several years and pressure from the attorneys, I finally found the courage to go and apply at UAFS. At the end of 2011, my boss, Greg Smith, of 12 years, was unable to continue working due to his health. And so he left the practice and I left the firm too. But we had hopes that he would be returning within a year and a half. So I needed to get my education as quickly as I could within that year and a half so I too could return to work with him. Sadly though, we lost Greg in March of 2012. But his legacy lives on in the trails and bikeways that we see here today. But in that year and a half, I had to double my hours. More hours meant more tuition and more books, and I needed help. It was then that I was granted the scholarships through the UAFS Foundation. For me, though, it wasn't about the money, or wasn't just about the money. It also meant hope, and it meant opportunity, and I wasn't going to take that for granted. It was at that same time that both my children graduated high school. So I had more time to devote to academics and even take advantage of some of the campus activities. UAFS offered so many wonderful opportunities, both academically and through registered student organizations. I joined Sigma Tau Delta, Pinnacle Honor Society, a half dozen other organizations, and I spent my last semester as co-editor of the student-run e-newspaper, The Lions Chronicle. I was a very busy woman, very busy. I graduated May of 2013, summa cum laude, and with the highest academic achievement offered at UAFS, the Academic Excellence Award, which I was extremely honored to receive. The opportunities at UAFS gave me the confidence to be a leader in my community, as well as it raised my awareness of social responsibility. I became a member and ultimately an officer and director of Beautify Fort Smith, and I have continued this connection that first began for me as a student. Additionally, the opportunities at UAFS exposed my creativity to others around the world. A personal essay I wrote in the class won second place in PLAS magazine. That same essay, earlier this year, I was asked to read on National Public Radio, a program called Tales from the South. It aired worldwide and was heard by more than 130 million listeners. After graduation, I asked one of my professors and one of my mentors, Dr. Kimberly Robinson Downing, what she hoped for her students upon graduation. Her response was, I hope my students feel empowered to seek their futures, not just wait for it to happen to them. Students, as an alum, I want you to know that you have been given a great opportunity. Do not take your scholarship for granted. And before you leave here tonight, shake the hands of your donors. And if your donor's not here, shake the hand of any donor and every donor you can. Tell them how this scholarship has given you hope and how it's empowered you. And donors, I can't thank you enough. In January, I'll begin my next journey at Tulsa University, where I will obtain my Master's of Jurisprudence and Energy Law. Because you have empowered me. Thank you.
Wow, I love hearing these stories. I have just a few thoughts to share as we prepare to leave tonight. Irish poet William Butler Yeats wrote, "Education is not the filling of a pail, but the lighting of a fire." Students, thank the donors you're seated with for helping to light that fire for you. But always remember that what matters to them the most, besides your gratitude, is what you do with the education that they're helping you get. Make them proud. Our philanthropists, our givers, your generosity and your belief in our students fuels the hope for their future. Thank you for that. Students, how many of you will graduate either in December or in May of this year? Raise your hands. Hi, very good. Congratulations. You can see the light at the end of the tunnel. You're almost there. Now raise your hands if you're going to graduate just sometime after that in the next few years. Raise your hands. See, okay, great. Congratulations to you too. If you have 2 or more years to go, don't give up. You can make it. Then at some point in the future, it'll be your turn to help others to light their educational fires. You've been challenged with that by several of the speakers tonight. Become a giver like the ones you've met here tonight. Pay back that investment that others made in you. As we prepare to leave tonight, filled with delicious food and boosted by new and renewed relationships, I would like to thank you all for attending. Students, thank you for choosing UAFS and for being here tonight to meet the people that have helped make your education possible. Donors, thank you for lighting these educational fires for our students. University administration, faculty, and staff, thank you for all you do for our students and for this institution. Good night.